Alright, so what we're doing here is we're just warming up the ingot maker. This is a critical step in the process. If you don't take the time to warm this up and to remove the moisture that's on the surface of this, when you put the two pieces together and you get ready to pour in the molten metal, it will instantly flash the moisture to steam, and that molten gold or silver will come flying back out, potentially hitting you on the way out. So absolutely critical to make sure that you get the moisture off the ingot maker. Okay? And you'll notice I always start at the bottom and then work my way up, right? You also want to make sure that the surface is nice and clean, meaning you don't have like little chunks of gold sitting on there, or silver from the last time you did it. That'll throw off the alignment a little bit, and then it'll mess it up some. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 14 karat white gold first. And this is of course for sizing stocks. You can use it for other aspects as well. If you're doing fabrication, you could use this for that as well. Obviously, this needs to be rolled out, whether it's going to be for sizing stock or fabrication or whatever. This is the first step in the process. And this particular ingot maker will do round stock, and if you flip it around the other way, it will do square and rectangular stock. So basically, whatever shape you need as your primary, it'll do it. Now, some people put oil on them. I just dial this back so that we have more propane, and it creates the soot like this, and we're just going to coat the surface of this so it's easier to get the metal out of there once we open it up. Now with the white gold, once this is done, we're not going to quench it. Okay, you don't quench white gold because of the nickel in it. You'll just make it harder. All right. When you take yellow gold out of here, or silver, just go ahead and quench it right away, and that basically will keep the metal nice and soft for you. All right. So we got that part done. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to close this up. You want to double check your alignment when you get it on there. For the moment, just get it in the ballpark. Put the clamp on. I put the clamp basically centered in the vertical and horizontal position. Give it a little tap. Good, good. And then I personally like to turn it at approximately the angle that I'm going to pour at. So this is scrap white gold mixed with plum white gold. Casting grain is in here as well. We already put some granular borax on there. That's going to keep it nice and clean. I don't recommend using the powder borax or boric acid for this part. The granular borax works better for both casting and for making ingots, in my opinion. Alright, let's get it melted up. And don't forget, you're not just melting the metal, you're heating the crucible as well. And you want to make sure that your crucible has been seasoned before you do this, otherwise the gold will go into the pores of the crucible. And that would be no bueno. And white gold tends to take a little bit longer than yellow when you're melting it down, again because of the nickel. You can focus the heat in one spot, you can move it around. I prefer to move it around and distribute the heat, not just across the metal, but also the crucible. Get a more generalized heating that way. And I'm using a rosebud for a Smith micro torch. If I were doing larger pours or I were casting, I would use the large torch over at the casting station. What is that? Get a little bit of crud in here. The flux will take care of most of that. It'll float it off to the surface. But you want it to be as clean as you can get it, right? Hear how the different texture changes the flame, the different contour of the surface. That'll affect how it heats. Another reason to try and be a little more uniform about it. And as you can see, it's starting to turn into a large blob. Everything's starting to get a nice shine to it. That's the flux sitting on the surface. I think I'll turn the pressure up when I do the next two. This is taking a little bit long. Yeah, we're getting there. Just jiggle it around. You want to make sure it's uniformly melted, and you want to pick up all the little specks that are rolling around in there. And as it gets closer to its full melting temperature and uniformity throughout it, you want to start shifting it over towards the opening where you're going to pour. And then what you want to do is you want to pour in one quick fluid motion. Sit. And again, it's white gold. We're not going to quench it. We'll just go ahead and open this up. The first one you do, you can open this without gloves or anything because it's not really that hot. After that, you might want to consider gloves. Alright, we got a little spider webbing here. I must not have cleaned the bottom of the surface really well. And there we go. There's our 14 karat white gold ingot with the fresh casting grain in it, so it's nice and clean. And we're just going to let this cool at room temperature, and when it's cooled off, we can clean it up and start rolling it out into sizing stock for whatever purposes we need. Okay? Hope you enjoyed it.